Hi, welcome back to Future Fast, and we have Paul Resnik with us. And for those of you who are here for the first time, you have missed two parts of the conversation with Paul that we have had so far. In the first part, he shares his journey, believe me, very exciting. And also, much of it is also talking about a journey of an entrepreneur. So, do catch on that. And also, very interesting conversation. So, please don't miss that. And in the second part is where we get Paul to dive into why he got into blockchain, having spent decades in the traditional financial space, and what got him motivated to come into this, and now what got him into the driving seat and driving it. So you will surely enjoy it, particularly if you're already in Web3, and or if you're looking into getting into it, you must listen to that conversation. And now, having said that, in this conversation, we are looking to get Paul to share his perspective on the future. So, diving into it once again to the portal of the future. For now, it is 5.5 hours, but how far can we go, Paul? Welcome back to Future Fast.
Good day. Nice to be back. And yes, as I look out from my window here, it's just getting to a couple of hours to sunset here in Melbourne, and we're moving into summer. We're
All
moving
right.
into summer.
So, how far the summer do you see from a point of future? What do you see?
Um, yeah, um, I see the blockchain being a universal platform of data management. Um, I don't see beyond that. I just see the huge levels of efficiency it brings. And it'll be the battle between individuals and the promise of Web3, that it's control of your data, and everybody else who wants to gather it. Some of that will be governments, and that will be a tension that needs to be worked through. But I think it will also disempower businesses. I don't think, because what we're talking about is essentially you will have the ability on your phone to meet all of your financial needs,
Mm-hmm.
assets, investable assets, insurances, credit, banking, and be able to transfer instantly. So the relationship turns and the power relationship changes. That's the promise of Web3. That will come about not by the people that currently have power doing it, because they'll want to do it. And governments will be nervous. But I view it as that's where it will go. That means you'll have the choice of electricity, gas, every possible individual service will come through on that. You will choose to outsource it. It's too complicated, to an algorithm or a person standing in front of an algorithm.
Right.
I'm not sure what we call that. An augmented algorithm, maybe that's the term for it.
Okay.
Or a co-pilot, if we borrow from
Microsoft.
From Microsoft. Yeah. So that's where I see this going. I haven't got a greater view of the political consequences. I'm just conscious how powerful information, data is meaningless. Information is more useful when it's framed. When you're able to look at patterns, and you can see correlated behavior, and able to say. So today I went to a session on eating more healthily.
Okay.
And it was how to read the ingredients on a packet.
Okay.
And I was furious, because here was I can basically understand a lot of things. I do not wish to learn a new language that has trans fat, polyunsaturated fats, sugars, salts, and a whole series of things. I said, has anybody turned this into a traffic lights?
Yeah.
I want to be able to say, these are the things I'm reading the ingredients, or in fact, the ingredients have come from somewhere else. And look, I've got a balanced start for the day. And in my last meal, I have to make up with some more protein. I don't want to have to do that individually.
Right. Oh, well,
Uh,
incidentally, I've come across a startup who are actually doing this. So all you're expected to do is scan that product. So
yes.
the app will read into the what goes into making that product, and then it'll tell you that if you have ABC conditions, whether this what ingredients this product has is good for you or bad for you, or can be better for you.
Yeah. So I would expect those sorts of things will, I'm not sure, enrich life, but they will certainly, for those of us that want to do it. And you'll have the same for your exercise,
Yeah.
and you'll have the same thing. Think for how do you get on with that member of the family that is difficult? This is the try things this way.
Oh,
Um,
that would be the most difficult one. Well,
yeah.
I want to dig with you on what do you see the future of money to be, because you spent so long in that, and you've seen also uh, multiple uh, depressions, if I can put that. I mean, not really a very serious depression, but you've seen those dips in the economy. You actually referred to the 89 in our previous conversation, but you've seen the world through the 89 and 98 and 2001
Yeah.
and 24 and 2008 and 2011 so, and 2018. So how do you see the future of money in this context?
Um, the our challenge is what we the history is around the development of capitalism. You know, where largely individuals or groups of individuals gather together. We're now reaching levels where we're seeing the influence of the richest people playing its way through. So if I could say, if capitalism continues, then it's relatively predictable. We've seen the patterns of oligopoly behavior, and within reason, passive investing is a safe place to be because it just follows momentum
Um,
as assets go up in value. What
right.
happens if capitalism fails? I don't know.
Well, Paul, just the couple of days ago, the results of US elections, right? So, see, this is what's bothering me, that one is the concept of crypto asset, cryptocurrency, which is decentralized, and Bitcoin became Bitcoin gave birth to blockchain, right? Where we have there was a man called Osho, Rajneesh. I don't know if you've heard of him. He was a kind of a spiritual guru of sorts. Uh, uh, he also made it very big in US till the US chased him out of America. So, uh, so Osho had once said, which is very popular, which I like to use or borrow rather, that the mother is born when the child is born. It's the child which makes a woman a mother. So, so blockchain was born after Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is the child, but the child gave birth to the mother, borrowing what Osho said. So in that context, the very context of the background of that was to take the control of money away from the centralized ecosystem, and that's where the whole narrative came about, right? And here we saw one winning of Trump saw Bitcoin go up and reach its heights, right? And at the same time, it's the same person. Donald Trump is identified as a billionaire, right? And backed by Peter Thiel, a multi-billionaire, backed by Elon Musk, a multi-billionaire, and among the richest men in the world. So, is there a? Do you see? I'm just conflicted in the thinking that is there a confluence of what is taking the money out of the center and what is the most richest?
Yeah.
So, how?
Yeah, and it's those, I share those perspectives. My naive view is that you align people's interests and we progress. If you make one group more powerful than another, they are the seeds of revolution. The irony, of course, is Trump speaks with one mouth over here, and he's playing both sides. He's playing both sides.
Yeah.
So I don't know the answer, but it becomes then mathematical. So if you were to ask me a question now, which would say, if I was constructing a portfolio now, what would I do in light of what I know if I was constructing that portfolio for my family, my children, and my children's children going forward? What would I do in that light? And I would have to say, what do I know now? And what's the likelihood of capitalism failing? And it will fail for multiple reasons. Maybe the most obvious one is we all boil to death while we're arguing about whether we'll limit global temperatures. I don't know the answers to that, but I do know that there are lots of people capable of putting together an argument to improve outcomes. Now, once again, progress is a Western thing. And I did a course called The Idea of Progress, and in my university days, and it was, and it's now very much questionable. Should we have a much more a far less commercial perspective on the resources we're playing with? What would I do? Would I join a religion and tithe myself to a church to say my soul and my children's souls could be saved? If I honestly don't know. I go back to, from my perspective, I can see we have a series of problems. The problems may not be solved in 2 or 3 generations. They may be solved. We seem to be able to solve lots of things, but I don't have a wide enough perspective to give you more than that.
Right. So, if you were to tell your children and grandchildren to invest in, I know you just talked about it. I'm just trying to narrow it down.
Yeah.
To say dollar, pound. You work with Britain. Your partner is UK based, so pound and euro, because I think you are more close to Central European thinking rather than the Britain thinking, and 4 US dollars, USD, and 5 gold. What would you pick? What would you tell?
I would tell them. I'd say
do you want me to add cryptocurrency?
You can.
Or do you want me to? I mean, coming from India, I would say Indian rupee. However you need.
Okay. I would go something like this. Everything is about asset liability matching.
Correct.
Okay. So I would say, typical Australian, we produce this in Australia, we have to import from everywhere else. The best way we can manage our currency risk is to have our assets distributed on that basis. And then I would buy 2 ETFs.
Okay.
And I would find the most diversified by not by name, but behavior.
Oh,
Yes, okay. So what do I think I know?
yeah,
Is assets tend to follow each other.
right.
Sometimes they don't, but you need to see things through to a cycle or through. So you can say they all followed each other down, therefore they're all the same. But when the recovery happened, what they're I have no notion of active investing adding any value except to the organization that sells the story.
Mhm.
So I don't have an ounce of time for saying somebody long term they can, through their genius, through their analysis, they can add any value. I think the cost of doing that is consistently proven to be a waste of time. So as diversified as sensible, I have no time for crypto as an individual, but I have no time for gold.
No,
I
for
just
now,
think it,
just reduce it to Bitcoin. Now that
yeah, well,
if you,
whatever it might be. Yeah. So from my perspective, it's just another thing that people value. Um, as are most things, I look at sort of the practical perspective. Everything is driven by demand, and demand is often driven by
Mm,
the present value of the future income stream something will create.
yeah,
Okay. I don't know what that is in Bitcoin because it doesn't produce a dividend. Um, so I'm out of my depth already. It's all failed my first test. Um, if it behaves differently from other assets, in my momentum fund, I go, when it goes up, we'll take some profits. And when it goes down, we'll buy some more because I can understand that rebalancing a portfolio gives you lower levels of volatility, which is a useful thing, but still reasonable returns as long as the asset is going up. What weighting would I put to it would be psychological. Do you believe in Bitcoin? Okay. If we put 5% of the fund in it, will it provide a material advantage? If we put 50% in, are you prepared to take the risk? So we would work our way through individually a questionnaire because I want people to make an informed decision.
right.
Now, they can outsource it back to me and I'd outsource it to you. And I say you can pay somebody, but that's an informed decision. You have said, this is too complicated. When we did our quick example before, didn't we?
Right.
System 2 thinking. Now, very few of us can exist in system 2. And asking our customers to do that is really unkind.
Well,
That's how I would answer your question. Have I prevaricated enough here?
no, well, I don't know whether would you, if I put it as what if I have to sum it up or summarize it, that you recommend gold because you're disqualifying crypto, and by the logic of whatever you said, USD doesn't stand a chance, Euro doesn't stand a chance.
You're reading all of those things. No, I would take out gold. I would take out crypto. I would take out unimproved property, unless the person said, "I have a feeling this is a good thing." So now, luckily, I'm not an advisor. But you're asking what I would advise my family. What I would say to my family, and it would go something like this: the world is an unsafe place. And it's very likelihood that something awful will happen in Australia as it would in UK or it would happen in Europe. You should make sure that you have money put aside to be in another place so you can live, pay your rent, pay the mortgage, and
What
get
would
some
that place
food.
be? Another place.
Well, the other place would be a place that you would feel comfortable. If I'm a Jew, so my only sense is the most dangerous place in the world is Israel, and I would go there.
You would still look at that as the most safest place?
Well, it is for me. I can't rely on anything else. Yeah, that's my
Just a
weighting
little
of
bit
it.
of history.
Mm.
One place in the world for last 2000 years where Jews have never been attacked for being Jews is India.
Yeah. So we could And one of
Not
my
even
colleagues
Israel.
has put that
It's India.
argument. Yeah, yeah. And we had this discussion only a couple of weeks ago. And the dilemma is you need to have people that you have common. If there was a community of Jews in India, it would be easier. But we've all grown up in the countries we're in. And I have to tell you, when I go to Israel, it feels very foreign to me. But my son is there, and I have family there. I have a business there. Those are things that are there. But if I had to have a third place, my daughter's just come back from England. She said it wasn't safe. I grew up there. Unbelievable to believe that she viewed it too dangerous for her to stay. So maybe let's set up a new Israel Zionist fund to bring people to India. I wouldn't discount it.
Well, I often wonder that whether the future will still be as worried about our identities, because just to share with you, I belong to a community called Kodavas. We are a very small number, less than 100,000 people in the world. So often when we meet as our community people, we enjoy drinking. So often the conversation over the drink is that how long will this community be around?
Yeah.
Will it be for 100 years, which would mean maybe another 2-3 generations at best, 2 generations at best? Because all those who are on the table talking about it, none of us will last for 100 years. Of course, I've had some transhumanists in the future fast who say that we will live to see 1,000 years, but I don't know yet. But for not considering the transhumanism into the conversation, so the conversation is always about, will it last 100 years? So and then the question is, does it matter, or should it?
Yeah.
Because if you go with the history of India, we talk about Ramayana. I don't know if you've heard of it. Ramayana as an Indian history. There was recently a big temple was built. That was all over the world. Talk about it, right? Rama temple was built in his birthplace. And there are 2 arguments. One argument is that happened about 7,000 years ago when he was born. Yeah. And another argument is that it happened 15,000 years ago. But point is that it has happened either 7 or 14 or 15,000. A lot of people have come and gone.
Yeah.
And a lot of religions, a lot of gods have come and gone.
Yeah.
So, and we were talking about how long will our community live? Will it be for 100 years? So, and then we talk about AI taking away all our jobs. And there are people, the recent Nobel Prize winning scientist who has incidentally worked on AI for the last 45 years, says that AI will be more intelligent than us. And I remember his interview where he says that the interviewer asks him, so are you suggesting that we as humans will be the second most intelligent people on this earth? And he says, yes. So,
yeah.
Where are we with all these things?
I'm a pragmatist at heart, which is history teaches us lessons, but we need to be very careful in our selection of stories.
And most often we need to learn also from history.
Yeah. But the stories are everything and nothing. It's our action now that's important. And the future is uncertain. I don't have anything other than I look back at history, I can see a pattern, and that's what humans do. They find a pattern that appeals to them. That's all I'm doing. I'm a pattern follower. And I reject certain patterns because I don't like them. And I like other patterns because there's an elegance about them. They're utterly subjective. I don't spend any time thinking about the future other than within the constraints of these sorts of discussions. What do I tell my family? And I tell them really what I've told you. Invest in it regularly into an index fund and make sure you have somewhere safe to live. Everything else, I don't know. All of the assets could be we saw in India. What happened? Did Modi not go, all these banknotes you have no value next Friday? Now, one of the things I say, there are two pernicious things in the world that neither of us can predict: the behavior of the gods or the behavior of governments. Yeah.
As much as we like to believe governments are made of us.
Yeah. So there's nothing predictable. No asset we've got is not subject to being stolen from us, either by a higher tax or a change of rule. No asset we've got won't be washed away by a mountain fall or rain. Yeah. We normalize, we insure it, but we have a long history of catastrophe. So it ends up being, it seems, some mathematics. The mathematics says, what's the best thing I can teach my children? To be able to walk across a border and create food for their family. That if they can get across the border, because there's no asset that will take them across that border. Having shares, having tokens, having gold, having diamonds, nothing will get you across that border because the person standing at the border discounts every value you've got. When you're across the border, if you can get there, hopefully you're educated, but you will have looked at the stuff I've looked at. The level of numeracy and critical thinking is negligible. That's why we're a System 1 people, because we don't have the ability to be System 2. Yeah, so you can't, that's all you can do to your kids. Give them a decent education and hope their personality has them appreciating it and using it in some way. Yeah, so that's what I would hope. Yeah, I sent all my kids to school. They're very bright, but none of them wanted to take jobs. No, this is, the great challenge of being a parent. Have you got kids?
Yes.
Yeah. How do you navigate this? What are you giving them to bring forward?
I don't know. I like to believe long back I'd read Prophet by Khalil Gibran, where have you read Prophet?
No.
I actually recommend a lot of people. In fact, I must have given away hundreds of Prophet small book to people. So they ask him, tell us about being a parent, and the Prophet says that parents are like a bow and children are like arrows. And bow doesn't decide the direction of the arrow. Bow only bends sufficiently to give the thrust. So
the momentum, yeah.
So that's what I keep telling myself, even when I want to tell them that maybe you want to consider this or prepare that. But I do tell them that whatever they learn in school or not, but if they follow this podcast of this Future Fast, I tell them that they will learn a lot more than that, because I've been very lucky to have had great conversations like what I'm doing with you. So from people across the globe. So of course, not everything that I agree with, but idea is that is the perspectives coming from different places,
Yeah.
different experiences, different backgrounds. I think it also allows them to understand and appreciate different perspectives and make up their own perspective. So that's how I see parenting to be.
I'm living with I've got 3 generations in my house, and 4 if you include the dogs. And so my new grandson and I crossed paths the other day.
Okay.
I'm 72 years old, and he was 73 days at the same time. And we had a fist bump as we shared our perspective of the world.
Right.
Yeah. It's truly humbling.
Wonderful.
Really humbling.
Wonderful. Paul, thank you so much for this. I look forward to bringing you once again once you launch your product.
Yeah, thank you.
Talk about how that's taking off. And
thank you.
Thank you for this. And to the audience and listeners, do share your feedback. Some of you have been doing it, and many of it has been very encouraging. Thank you so much. Appreciate that you even take time to appreciate what we're doing. So thank you for that. And it's encouraging to go after more people and do this conversation. So thank you so much. And do share this. And if you're not yet subscribed, do subscribe to Future Fast. And till we meet again, enjoy the ride. Paul, once again, thank you so much for allowing to be part of this portal to share the future time with you.
Thank you. Well, from the future, good day.
Thank you.